Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, let's get started. Yeah. So we are live on Facebook.
All right.
All right, you can switch on your camera if you want to. Do join in. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our Self-Care Saturday. So good news. We have officially gotten our first medal at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Just aside the usual Self-Care Saturday. It's really nice to see the Olympics getting I think all the nations are united and rooting for their countries, and it's really, it displayed the mental toughness, I think, among the athletes. You can see how they either they go for it or they break down, or they
Yeah.
it's really testing, especially the training they have to go through after delaying 1 year, and also affected by the COVID, right? So not only physically but mentally. So yeah, so it is correlated. Mental health and physical health is both very very important. So hence why we come up with this self-care Saturday. Prof Muhammad is so nice to um, contribute, his expertise, right? So we are becoming more well informed, more mindful about our everyday uh, life decision. Okay, the choices that we make. So today we're talking about mindful decisions that we make every day, right? So yeah, this is brought to you by PRKPP. We focus on education, environment. We focus on a lot on community, and as well as together with Fit Unit, our coaching services to help you achieve your health goals, your fitness goals. And yeah, so we have Coach Francis. Welcome on board. We have Prof Muhammad, our usual panel and speaker. So yeah, we are also live on Facebook, and it's going to be recorded and posted on YouTube as well. So yep, the floor is yours, Prof.
Okay. Thank you, Felicia. Very good evening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon all of us tonight, and for those listeners on the Facebook, and also later when you listen to our recording. So today I'll be talking about decision making. Let me just to start with share with you my slide. Mhm. How to be mindful with making our decision. And as you know, obviously, we have to every day upon our wakeful time that we had is 24 hours, maybe the 16 hours that we had. So we have to make decisions after decisions. So here we can see that we have to develop mindfulness and have to be mindful about our decision making. So obviously, a lot of people are having trouble because what worries us is sometimes when we wake up, we don't even actually decide to do anything. We may want to be just in a status quo situation. We just continue this doing our routine, not knowing what we want and what to decide for the day. Some people may already plan to look forward what to do for the day. Some people may, do things to the better right, or some of them may end up to the bad left, or some may even stay on at the same position, not moving. But all these actually warrant you to make a decision. So it is very important now let us to look at for our self-care, for our so-called inner peace, for our so-called harmony within ourselves. The decision making is very important. So as you know, decisions are the hardest move to make, especially when you have a choice between what you want and what is right. And sometimes, most of the time, actually, we make decisions based on what we want, not thinking about whether it is a right decision or not. So that's what we worried. If our decision is made based on emotion, rather than the decision is made based on what we call it a thoughtful decision making. That means before you decide anything, you have given a chance to think about it, how it will end up with those kind of decision that you are going to make. So to start with, let me just make it all better understand, I guess all of you know about this. The definition of decision is just to make a choice between two or more alternative, and the decision making is a process of choosing the best alternative to reach the objective or the outcome. So we are talking now is about the decision making psychology. As you know, all this while when actually I share with you all about how our minds work, is whether our psychology is in the right frame of psychology. So together with that, again, with all the topics, and tonight we're talking about how do we make our decision, whether the decision that we make is a good decision, or whether following what we have understood, what we have seen, what we have actually get based on the decision we made before, whether we need to improve in the decision making, things of that nature need to really be looked at seriously. So as you know, obviously, over the night, you already have seen what they have done and how the outcome could be at a very short instance within the one day. So now it's already like 9 o'clock in the night. So what has happened when you woke up at 6 or 7 in the morning, and subsequently until now, what kind of decision you have made, what kind of an outcome you have achieved, whether good or bad. So then maybe possibly you can make a difference tomorrow by doing some kind of audit with regard to what have done today, so that by tomorrow you can make a different kind of approach into your decision making. So basically the definition is that, again, you have possibilities, you have options, then you should be actually comparing them, and you can choose the proper uh, right course of action to take. So again, here we talk about, when we talk about decision, it is based on judgment. So if you know that you have to make judgment, the judgment then become your selection, and that selection either it can reach into what we call a positive or a negative outcome. So you have to consider that seriously. So be mindful means you are fully aware of what you are thinking of and what you are deciding for. So in decision making, judgment is usually a test of your reasoning process. Either you reason it out well, it could be rational or irrational. A lot of time people are making bad decision because of bad judgment, and due to that you may end up achieving what we call maladaptive outcome as compared to adaptive outcome. Here it means that it is adaptive outcome, that means it is synchronized with your ego feeling, it is synchronized with your inner self, it is feeling good about what you have done and what you have made in terms of your decision and what you have achieved for the day. But unfortunately, if the judgment and the reasoning process are poor, obviously you end up with a maladaptive behavior, maladaptive response. And once you reach a maladaptive response, obviously the outcome will not make you feel happy. So decision making is very important. You need to actually achieve what we call, at the end of the day, peace and harmony within you, and actually getting what we call full contentment with your decision. So these are the steps basically we want to make decision. I guess we need to review again and again every day that is going on with us. So like today, what is the problem? So we should recognize the problem. Hopefully the problem did not go on and on and on until the next day, until a week, until a month, until a year, because sometimes because we don't really look into the problem seriously, we don't analyze the problem well, and then we don't put up all kind of problem solving resolution, or what are the alternatives that we can do. Then we can actually then evaluate before we choose the best alternative and implement that alternative. That will be your decision making, and subsequently you verify whether the decision has a better outcome as before. So I think this is a very important step that you need to look at seriously, because if not, a lot of people are actually going on and on and on, harboring the same problem day in, day out, and subsequently become week in, week out, month in, month out, and year in, year out kind of a thing. And that will actually cause a lot of so-called bad feeling within yourself, burden yourself so much. So again, this is another way of looking at it. Another step, one is define the problem and then look for alternatives. Here is possible not only one alternative, go for a few more. If you can't have this alternative, obviously you need some people to help you to offer you alternative. So usually in defining a problem, sometimes if you can't find a way out, you need to seek guidance, you need to seek counsel, you need to actually approach someone who can show you the way, and later that particular person who become your counselor may be able to give you alternative to look into how you can look it in the other manners, other perspective. So subsequently, then you can at least have two person, the counselor plus the counselee that is you. Then we can evaluate which are the best alternative, which will become the topmost that we can try it out. And subsequently, we make decision to implement it. And then we'll see whether it achieves the solution to the problem. So if it is not, obviously we need to monitor the thing, whether it happens the way we expected or not, and maybe after that more looking into it, implementing the decision alternative. So obviously, if the solution is still not coming back, not coming to what we really want, we have to then move on to another alternative. So these are the process which takes sometimes a while, because not straightforward answer can be given. As you know, all problems, as you know, all issues that comes up with us are usually multifactorial. And so if there is multifactorial, there is obviously very difficult to just get one answer to sort out all the problems. So once you have already made the decision, you implement to get this problem solving. So you implement the solution, and then you monitor the solution, and subsequently after monitoring you evaluate, and after evaluation then you actually, if you are having a counselor with you, then you can come and see the counselor and to give your report and see the feedback, how you can make it better, or how whether you can continue doing the same, so that is your new norms in that sense. So the benefit of good decision making, obviously, when decision making will make you improve in your quality of life, you enhance it, and actually your skill will be much better. And making better choice to your decision will result in terms of actually you can conserve your energy, your time, your money, your resources, because you are doing it right. Unfortunately, for those who are not making a good decision, obviously they have to redo the whole process. Then at the end of the day, it will actually, this is where we call sometimes people reach what the stage of a burnout or the stage of frustration and whatnot. So it's very important to actually come up with what we call a good decision making. So the benefit is that it will improve your self-concept, self-worth, self-esteem. You look into yourself in much clarity, and give you a better, good physical health, psychological health, and it increase your independence in the way that you know now how to make your decision your own way, your own self, and you can control your present and possibly also what can happen in the future. If your present are all with good decision, the future will also be better, and it can improve your relationship with your family and your friend. So as you know, make and be confident in your decision is very important, and stop looking for people's approval for everything. Live your life and do what you want. But as I said, if you feel that you have reached a stage where actually it end up with a maladaptive outcome, seek help. Get people to assist you, guide you, to possibly show you another way. Because sometimes a lot of people say, "This is me. This is who I am. I believe that I'm okay." But actually, a lot of other people can see it otherwise. So we have to also actually come to terms that maybe the way we look at things might not be as accurate as how we want it to be. So good decision come from experience, and experience usually come from bad decision. So Whatever the bad decision that you have made earlier, it actually create more and more better experience. And then with that better experience, obviously, later you will be making more and more good decisions. So before you can reach a good decision, sometimes you have to fall many times. You have to go into the situation whereby you feel discomfort. But at the end of the day, don't just let it be. Don't just let it control you. You are the one who are in charge. So actually, you improve, you empower yourself to be better, then you can make a better and better decision in the future. So for working people, obviously, if there is problems, actually job level of problem, maybe for student, maybe the problem with studies and whatnot. There are two areas, two possible contribution. One is actually your individual factor that you need to look at, or the organization or the environment that you are in, with the people, the community that you are in, and things of that nature that could actually enhance or aggravate and contribute to your difficulties. And only if you can look at it in a positive manner, you can improve it very well, then we reach what we call the previous discussion that we had with regard to your self-care. So decision-making characteristic, you must be knowledgeable, you must be experienced, having some experience, you must try to develop some skill, and you must also know what are your values, what are your so-called proper good traits as versus to your weaknesses, which have what we call the negative traits. Only then, if you have this self-care, then you will have what we call health and a good quality of life. So there is here basically the decision is with regard to actually your personal growth and development. So with a proper decision, maybe you can improve yourself in relationship, you can be better in your health and wellness, you can improve yourself in career, in finance. So these are very important aspect because it is not only now this decision that you're making at this level, it will determine how well you can be subsequently in your life. I would like to actually highlight this element of frustration. A lot of people every day, there's this called frustration that they experience. I've seen quite a number of my clients keep saying about this situation that they are in. They are quite frustrated with what is going on. What frustration is all about is about actually your emotion, which subsequently lead to some kind of a behavior where you have a particular objective, you want to do a particular course of action, but you were not able to get it done because maybe it was prevented by person, by situation. So that is where this frustration comes about. So this frustration usually is due to there's a delay in what you think you want to achieve, but you were not able to. Maybe it's because of lack of resources, you are not knowledgeable enough, you don't know how to handle the problem, or maybe basically, as I said, there are other external factors that stop you from getting it. Actually, that is the issue of you are facing some kind of failure to achieve your objective. So how to deal with the frustration? First and foremost, just try to isolate your problem, right? And reflect why you are getting so upset with the situation that you are in. And then try to learn how to relax yourself. And usually we talk about mindful breathing, mindful relaxation techniques. So then subsequently you also must be affirm yourself with a positive thoughts, positive inner self-talk. These are all the things that we have been saying all this while. So that means your outlook will be better if you look at it in a proper perspective. And that is where we call you have to look in a new way, in a new norm situation. Unfortunately, for most of us, change is not easy. We can find it very difficult to change sometimes because of our environment, because of our personal factors within us. But we must always be a person with a growth mindset. Don't fixate yourself as though that nothing can happen better. So look into it in other perspective, not only in that your own one perspective that has actually troubled you so far. And here is the steps if you can. So you know that frustration comes from an emotion response to stress, which later leads into your behavior. So the goal for today, the goal for you following your frustration is actually to feel contentment, to feel happy, to feel satisfied. So that will be your goal. So if you continue with that previous emotion, that will actually distress you and disturb you for the whole day. So basically, your alternative is to know how to use the proper, correct emotion to respond. So be mindful of your negative emotion response, but then also be mindful that you have other positive emotion that you can use. All right, select the right condition, the way you think, the way you see it, possibly that one perspective which is not good, but change that perspective, listen to other people's perspective, then after that you make the right thinking and then make the right selection and focus on doing the right selection, not taking a step back, because quite a number of people having trouble with the day is because they stay taking a step back and they remain in that position without any changes to the way they look at things. So as you know, people around you, we can just, is like what we call, there are many people who are like garbage truck. So obviously they are also full of their own problem. And sometimes they like to pile their problems to us. And unfortunately, we receive it without even, having a ability to filter it out. They dump it on you and we take it as though that we cannot actually push it away. So that is a problem. When that kind of a problem, try not to actually accept it as much because if you accept it, obviously you feel the burden. So just try to push it away, wish them well and move on, believe in yourself, then you are not touched by the situation that people brought to you. Similarly, try to avoid this so-called being a garbage can yourself, as though that you can be your pay that I usually tell you about. All of us are carrying a particular burden, and people keep feeling in that burden to us, and we keep opening we don't have any proper filter. So unfortunately, when we don't have any proper filter, we receive everything, and that will actually does not good to your intellect, does not good to your feeling of peacefully within you. So try to refuse and not to actually tune in into this kind of conflict and controversies that people are bringing to you, because they can infect you, your mind, and make you feel defeated, make you feel helpless and whatnot. And that's where frustration is where you can see now with quite a number of us within this COVID pandemic, COVID situation that we are in. So how to manage your frustration and to improve your skill? Obviously, these are a few other ways you can look at it. Create a proper meaning of what the challenges is all about. I think this is important. Sometimes we have a very wrong meaning to what is happening, but try to create and look for a proper meaning why this thing happened to us. Be more relaxed, be more able to take your own self to relax. So you do a lot of relaxation technique. Take one thing at a time. Don't try to absorb so many things, and look for encouragement. Sometimes you can do your own self-encouragement. Sometimes actually people, you can ask people to help you, to encourage you, to make you feel better. Do a better meditation process. Maybe imagery kind of a meditation is very significant if you can, or just take a break from all this that is troubling you. So why decision making is very important? Okay, let me just stop sharing. I believe that most of the time what happens to us every day is with regard to either we make a good decision or we did not decide at all to be better, we stay in the same old position. So because of that, we seem to be not improving ourselves very much. So I hope we can discuss or we can share with everyone what we have, or maybe
All
that
right,
will
thank
help
you so much,
everyone.
Prof. I think that was very enlightening. Yeah,
Mm.
I would like to go back to the one that you mentioned about frustration. Okay, a bit backtrack a bit on the, sometimes we don't get the validation from others, you know,
Mm.
because I think a lot of us spend time, I think why we have certain expectations, and we get frustrated about situation because it could be, if it's a conflict within ourselves, we can, take the steps, right, to overcome it. But if it involves conflict between two person, or maybe a group of people, or an organization, or personal, right? So how does one open up in terms of, like, you want to talk, the other person don't want to talk, that person want to talk, you don't want to talk, right? So how do you resolve that particular frustration?
Okay, this is where I said just now, in terms of your personal factor. Sometimes you wish people to be like you, to see things like you, but unfortunately, nobody will be the same like you. Everybody has a different, development kind of a thing, experiences and whatnot, education kind of a thing too. So obviously, you must actually, if you can expect, you'll see how you should expect on that particular person. But don't try to put everything 100% expectation that that person can understand you, that person know what you really want, that person will follow you the way you want it to be, because everyone has their own what we call ego self, and that ego self is not easy for each and every one of us to break sometimes, especially when that person feel that there is also a situation whereby it is ego threatening to them. So the best is, yes, you can expect, but don't I usually use this statement, jangan mengharap pada orang yang tak boleh diharap, because you already know dia tak boleh diharap, so why you mengharap sangat dengan dia? So you put your expectation to the one, just put your expectation to the one that you think you can expect. How much you can expect is another big issue here.
Okay.
So that means you know your limitation, and the worst thing is that I think our issue mainly is imposition. We want to impose on them what we believe is right, the way we believe it, but it might not be the same as the way they see it. So imposition usually doesn't work out very well, unless we actually really, how should I say, in our relationship with whoever it is, we agreed upon, right? We can differ, but we agree to disagree, but we respect each other, but we listen to each other. So I think if we can reach that stage, I think then it is easy to have a discussion.
And if that doesn't happen, it's okay also. We just have to manage it.
Yeah. You can't control people's. You can't make people see the way you want to see, but you can always tell them how you see it. But you don't expect that they will follow you fully.
I see. Okay, great. Yeah, so if anybody has questions, you can also unmute yourself, or you can put in the question in the chat box as well. All right. So, Prof, and I think making like mindful decision, mindful everyday decision is really important. Like what we choose to focus on, especially I think, and yeah, so we have been very busy, this past week or so, on issues, hot issues related, the country, and also of course, with the Olympics going on, with the parliament hearing going on. So what do you think, because people get into debate, and now with, there was a riot, not say riot, there was like a peaceful protest today. So like, how would you advise if, some I know the riot is, we are frustrated staying at home, right? And the rising cases and things like that. So how do we set our mind to make mindful decisions, and also like to cut down frustration in a sense, manage it?
First and foremost, don't try to be over involved with so many things. I think that is where we call proper decision making, is knowing what is your priority for the day, what do you really want to focus on to achieve, rather than trying to be over involved with everything that is around you. I guess we still are stuck with a situation whereby we want to also express our feeling, our thoughts, our, the way we see things. But sometimes we know by just expressing it out, we won't get satisfied if people don't listen to us. So actually, we are doing what we call, we are just hurting ourselves, because we feel really uncomfortable if either people listen to us with a very negative way looking at it, or people doesn't even listen to us. So try not to be so much involved with so many things. Decide what you really want for yourself for that particular day, so that you are not stuck with what this is what we call, like it's like what we call the rat race that we have with every one of us. If everyone want to be in the social media, want to get known, to be noticed, to have likes and dislike kind of a thing. So I think this is the trap that we are in right now. Unfortunately, with the social media, that is where people thought they can express themselves easily now. But unfortunately, like a lot of time when you write something in the social media, now the next 24 hours, you keep looking whether who respond, how many respond. I think that is where you keep yourself into that kind of a stressful situation. If you put something and nobody respond, you feel bad about it. You hope that people, that's why this number of like, this number of, uh, subscription and whatnot, it can be actually a very stressful situation for some people
That's
who
why it's
doesn't know.
yeah, you brought up a good point, Prof, because yeah, recently Instagram has taken a stand on you can actually remove, you have the option to remove the likes so that you don't get obsessed or get addicted to it, and it won't affect you as much. I think there is some psychological impact on getting like the numbers of likes and validation from
Mm.
others, where you know that you can give yourself that validation, right? Yeah. So I think that's a good move on, how technology can help us, but it can also break us if we make wrong decision, if we focus on the things that doesn't really matter, right?
Actually, when you need somebody's attention through the like, through the response, it indicate that actually you have not have a good self-concept of yourself, and possibly you have actually what we call low self-esteem. You don't realize that actually you do have that low self-esteem. So that's why you want people to give good comment, to give good, some kind of, uh, self-important is being noticed by people. So actually, it's already indication that we know now. If that is what we are looking for, hoping for, then actually that is a sign saying that we are having trouble with our own self-concept and self-esteem.
Okay, there are two questions actually in the chat. The
Mhm.
first question is, how do you remove the fear of making bad decisions since you have made a lot of terrible decisions in the past?
Okay, as I said in one of the phrase captions, actually, to make a good decision, it comes from experience, and to get the experience, it comes from bad decision. So yes, you have made a lot of bad decisions from the past, in the past. So just learn from those bad decisions, and that actually give you a good experience, a learning experience from the bad decision that you make. Then so subsequently you make a better and better decision in the present and in the future, because you already know that you cannot go and tread along the same track and along the same line again. Now the only problem is that now you should know how this so-called bad decision comes about, based on what ground. Example, some person based on the ground that I must be right, I am perfect. I Some people must see me that is the right way. And then when you enforce that kind of a thing, now you must always understand nobody sees the same way like you. So I think that was the premise. The premise, maybe your premise was very wrong, thinking that you can impose, you have all the answers. So that is where you make the bad decision. So again, go back to yourself and look at what kind of a thing that at the end of the day create that bad decision. But whatever the bad decision, it doesn't mean you cannot make wrong. You cannot be bad. You can, but learn from it. get better and better. It's like always, you know, the one who is success always has many failures that comes along before the success actually turns around and you know
Yeah.
reach that particular person. So I guess we have to understand that situation. So don't worry, as long as that bad decision, that wrong doesn't hurt you so badly until it reaches a stage whereby there is no point of return. Maybe that will be a very difficult bad decision that you have made with a very bad outcome that maybe take a toll on you for a long while. So just be careful about that.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
I
the
guess
best step. Be mindful.
yeah. So
Take
the
a
fact
step
is
back.
that yeah. So the fact is that you acknowledge that you have made the decisions that have brought unpleasant unpleasant consequence. That is a good start, right? So
Yep.
acknowledgement of it and knowing that in the future, what are the things that trigger instead of harboring on the thoughts of why did you do this, you don't punish yourself for that, instead of like you can reflect and yeah, you can move on to make better decisions for yourself for better positive outcomes.
I can tell you about quite a number of cases that I had before in my clinic. When people actually, once they make a bad decision, they also come up with what we call self-punishment. That is where a lot of people actually, like some of my clientele, when we talk about religious religious kind of perspective, they say, how could God pardon me if I already made that kind of a bad decision? So I think that is already self-punishment. That is already like, put yourself into a situation where as though that there's no repent, no more worthy. I think this is also a very faulty way of looking at it. Because there's always room for you to improve and there's always room for you to be pardoned. So I think that is where sometimes our emotion and our heart doesn't match together. Our heart may want to be better, but our emotion is overpowering our heart and our thinking.
Yep.
So be careful about that.
Yeah, not letting guilt consume us, and also knowing that in any religion, I think across the board, God is all merciful and forgiving. So if we remember that, then we remember to be always kind to ourselves, not only others. We are so good at being kind to other people, right? But we forget to sometimes being compassionate and kind to ourselves, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't punish yourself so badly. You can still punish yourself for remembrance, for guidance, but don't punish yourself until you cannot get out of that situation.
Okay, the second question, Prof. How do we manage if we realize a decision we made earlier is more detrimental than good? Meaning, I guess, damage control. Like we already
they call it mitigation. You must make a mitigation effort, or if already damage is done, obviously then you go into damage control. But prior to the damage is done, you must be quick. If you know already you have said a wrong thing, you have actually sort of like this is kata terlepas kata. Susah nak berundur kata kan, terlajak perahu boleh berundur, terlajak kata kena tarik balik. But that doesn't mean you cannot make it better. Immediately seek for pardon, immediately seek for understanding, immediately realize that you can still do what we call the damage control, that people understand why you end up saying those kind of a thing, what was the situation you were in at that time. Maybe if people understand you, then it is easy to accept you. But if you just run away and people don't know why this thing happened, so people have already have an impression, which is very difficult to undo it later. So yeah, it's a damage control and mitigate the situation.
Yeah. Okay. What if I mean I don't understand the context of I don't have the context of the question, right? But just in case, okay, just put a situation, right? If let's say that mitigation that you said that it requires you to say to have an apology or say sorry to someone. So if that someone don't accept your apology, what do you do?
Well, I guess you have done your part, the best part you have done. You have apologized, you have regretfully or having remorse of what you have done. That person may not wanting to accept it now, that kind of a situation. But later, after that person has also quiet down and possibly can think clearly, then they can accept it. We'll never know. But most important is you can actually put a little bit more effort, not only at that point of a time, but trying to show that you are a better person. You try to improve the relationship, you try to improve the situation that you are in and things like that. So never give up with regard to that situation. Because I think people, yeah, obviously, what has been said is like, people always give this indicate about this story of, when you say something bad, it's as though like you hammer a nail and you hammer the nail on the wall. Later, if you even pull out the nail, obviously there's still this, the wall still show that there's some that this kind of a mark. So I think that is what happened if you already done something seriously of that nature. But to undo that, it will take a long while to get back that trust, that understanding and things like that. Well, I guess if that relationship is for you to cherish as much, obviously you have to put a lot more effort.
Okay. Yeah, it is difficult, especially to live with the decision that you made, and you have to live with it for the rest of your life, right? So sometimes with a bit of regret, or with really, feeling you thought you made the right decision, but maybe the outcome wasn't what you wanted, right? So, how does one do self-healing, in your opinion?
Okay, first, you must have this compassion, self-compassion to
Mm,
start with. Secondly, you know that you have made a mistake. You want to be better. You want to improve yourself. That is second. You have the insight. You want to improve yourself. Then obviously you can show the better way now with your action, with your thinking and your emotion together with your action. And then subsequently, you put a lot more effort to show that you are a new person. A lot of time when we do behavior-based management, I think that is what we want to see. How you go, the effort that you put, the extra mile possibly that you actually invest to be better, to be seen better, then people start to possibly develop the trust back, things like that. So I think, yeah, once the thing has happened, it's not easy to actually mend it, but you have to try and strive to make it better in that sense, I would say. So there's no quick way.
yeah.
It's not easy. A lot of people are saying that what has been said sometimes it is so hurtful. Uh, I can forgive, but it's very difficult to forget.
Yeah.
So, and there is a new stimulus that come up similar to that, then the thing will come again, all coming back like as though it just happened. You know. So this is where the issue about how much you create the so-called the permanence of this so-called emotion that you have distress or disturb.
And also like to highlight, so during, the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their loved ones, right?
Yeah.
And how does one, because a lot of times where, especially if you're staying away from, each other, especially, right, from relatives,
Mm,
parents,
mm,
grandparents, whatever not, siblings, and so how does one get, I think in that also is a closure, right? How does one get a closure? Sometimes you
mm,
perhaps made a, had maybe a strange kind of relationship, or you don't have the best relationship, or
mm,
and that happened, there's a death in the
mm.
family. So how does one find healing in that?
Yeah, I can give you an example. We just recently had an experience with our own family members when, subsequently when the news about death comes about, obviously the relative, the close relative were not able to see and were worried that they can't even say goodbye, they can't even have the closure.
Mm,
So we may end up at that point of a time, if we are not strong enough, we actually end up hysterical. When you are hysterical, obviously you can do a lot of nonsensical thing. irrational thing. This is where we were hoping that, sometimes try to learn how to control yourself, not to be hysteric, not to be hysterical nature. Because if we don't learn how to let go certain things, it is very difficult. Then we were responding with a lot of what if, why not me kind of a thing. So these are all basically there are two components here, either the spiritual component that possibly could help you out, or even the psychological component, the way you see things is also there, not there as much. So that's why we're trying to develop you now in a holistic manner, how you can use your spiritual well-being, your spiritual sense, and also your psychological or mind sense kind of thing to help you to deal with losses, to help you to deal with bereavement, to help you to deal with a situation that possibly again and again, it will be there, unfortunately, but you have to learn how to let go, accept, and subsequently you can move on, move forward to get things going. So this is where we learn first understanding, second practices, and then thirdly adopt a new self with regard to the way we understand our mind and our psychology.
How will you say that yeah, thank you so much for that, Prof. How will you say that how much time will you give or one should give themselves to accept and heal and move on, so to speak, because sometimes we know that time is not really it. If you hold certain painful experiences, it can be very long time, right? So
Yes.
how much of a time is it good of a measure to work on ourselves? Yeah.
In fact, you can bereave. You can bereave for a while. You can, whatever losses that you had, whatever the situation that crops up with regard to relationship, you can actually feel that so-called negative emotion for a while. Example for bereavement, we call it normal bereavement until about 6 months. But if you go beyond 6 months, if you have not moved up to the stage of subsequently the numb, denial, and then subsequently bargaining, and then you become depressed, but you did not reach a stage of acceptance, then it becomes pathological. So pathological means you become disordered. If you are not pathological yet, I mean the first 6 months or so, we still call you a normal bereavement. So these are the very important element that you need to understand. We still give you the time. It doesn't mean that you cannot bereave. In fact, you can continue bereave more than a year and 6 months, but looking at it in a very proper perspective. Look at it in positive manner rather than the negative manner. So unfortunately, if you did not let go, obviously you say, what if I can do that before? What if I was there? What if this happened, so it cannot, this thing won't come. So this is a situation you are stuck where you are still bargaining. When you are still bargaining, that means it become pathological after 6 months. So I think all of us actually, if you're very strong, your spiritual sense and your psychological sense are very strong. In fact, you can let go even the next day. But it doesn't mean you cannot remember the losses. But you look at it in a very different perspective. You look at it in a different manner. Example, like you can still have what we call the yearly anniversary of looking at the good things you had with a person, or whatever that you basically you cherish their past, their presence, even though they are not around. You can give a good prayer, a good dua kind of a thing. So that will be good rather than holding on as though like they should be alive or they should be, relationship should stays on. This is where the problem. I mean, you heard about some stories, when your ex is not, when you're getting married and your ex come to your, your wedding, and obviously they will create a problem if your ex cannot accept it well or the other person cannot accept it well. So this is the issue when we are stuck with that situation. I guess we have to be mature. Subsequently, we have to be wise. So that's why we also want to tell this younger generation, we want to teach you all how to be mature faster and how to be wiser also much earlier. Not during like our time, we are all, I can tell you a lot of people at the age of 60, 70 are still not wise, are still not mature. And when they go into trouble, they go regress into childhood kind of a behavior.
Mm,
There are also people of that need.
okay.
So be careful about that.
Yeah, just to close it up, Prof, maybe you can share a little bit about how we can, during this time, we hope that people find comfort, right? During this time, if they have lost somebody, their dear loved ones, and yeah, you mentioned that 6 months and how you look at it. It doesn't mean that you forget. You can always cherish. Yeah, to close out our topic for today, which is making mindful everyday decision. Um, like how do we, what is a good, maybe you can give like maybe 2 or 3 tips or checklists, um, I think we have daily triggers and situations that we come across or challenges, right? So and how do we what are the 3 questions we should ask ourselves, to make that decision, whether I'm like, because a lot of people are talking about regret mostly, right? Oh, I think I made a bad decision. I will, I find it hard to, to trust myself again to make a good decision in the future. So maybe now in the present moment, we can focus on maybe 2 or 3 questions we can ask ourselves before we make that decision.
All right. First question is that always ask yourself, are you happy today? Because if your answer is that I'm not happy, then something is there, something is stuck there. So now not only just being, am I happy? Then ask also, are you at peace with yourself and with the surrounding that you are in? Because to be happy, it can lead to a peacefulness, or a peaceful situation can lead you to be a happy person. All right. And the third question is that, okay, what should I do to achieve the first 2? Because if you don't know what you should do, that is where you are stuck with the negative thoughts, with the fixated mind, with the old perspective. Possibly you don't even want to look forward how to be better. In this case, that's why we opened this platform. This platform is to indicate that a lot of time, all of us are always living in the past. So let us move on, be mindful just for the present, because the past is the past. Learn from the past, that experience, make it better for you to achieve now when the same stimulus come about, maybe when some kind of, a reflection of the old will come back, maybe make it better on how to respond it. So that is where, what can you do to be happy and to be peaceful?
Right.
This is where we are all here together. We can make the difference. Alone, I can tell you, I always say that even as a psychiatrist, I'm weak. As a psychiatrist alone, I'm vulnerable. So if I know that I'm weak and vulnerable, as the suicide rate
Yeah.
among the doctors are actually very high among psychiatrists. So that is the issue in America, I heard. So basically, we can't deal things when you're already out of your ability to take charge and control of your mind. So seek help.
So it's important to seek help. When you can do something about it, you do something before you lose control, right? All right, that's good. Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. I think it's good to ask these 3 questions. Are you happy? Are you at peace? And what action can I take for the first, so that I can feel happy and at peace? So these are 3 questions that Prof. Mohammed has shared in order for us to make mindful decisions every single day. I think it is good because this platform allows us to have us, we can pick Prof. Mohammed's brain a little bit and ask questions. So yeah, if you like to seek further consultation, you can definitely reach out to Prof. Mohammed. And yeah, so we definitely work on this platform to cross promote each other, because we understand that fitness, wellness, and well-being, it's a part of the mental health as well. So by bringing these 2 together, we are actually working to a more holistic way of dealing with our everyday stress, everyday decisions.
All are intertwined. All are intertwined. We can't separate them. It is all actually from the brain. So obviously the brain controls the body, the brain controls the mind, and also the brain controls the spiritual being. So I guess it's very difficult to separate them all.
Right.
We need to look at it in holistic manner.
Yep.
Maybe Francis, a few words from you with regard to fitness and your wisdom.
Yeah, that's very good. Thanks so much, Prof, for your input. I think at the day, what I do is, you see, the mind is all vulnerable. So after when I go into understand about the whole 5 a.m. club, so from here, I actually, and also the mindfulness from you, then I begin to practice. So meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection will give a greater sense of ourselves and also better connection, with the environment. So I think this is a good thing to do. So train yourself before you need it, just like a parachute, so that you get into issue, then you can get out easier and better. Thank you very much,
Okay, thank you.
everyone.
Right. So thank you, everybody. I hope we answered your questions. Yeah, if you have any follow-up inquiries, you can also tune back next Saturday with another topic. So thank you so much, Amu. Thank you, Karamjit. Thank you, Noharni. Thank you, Noreen. Thank you, Wan, Coach Francis, and Prof. Muhammad. Yeah, thank you so much. So everybody have a good weekend. And
thank you. It was very
Stay safe.
enlightening, Muhammad.
Thank you.
Professor
Stay safe.
Professor Muhammad.
It's all right. You can call me
Yeah.
Muhammad.
It was easy and very light. Yeah, and it was very easy to understand. Yeah, especially on the bit of frustration. I think a lot of people are going through a different level of frustration. So I hope more people will listen in and see how to adapt and get adjusted to this, our new norm. Yeah, it's good, Felicia, what you're doing.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so we hope to bring some happiness and peace within. I think this platform allows us to connect.
Yeah.
And yeah, so sometimes we need that, to filter all the other noises, right?
Yeah. And also it acts as a check and balance, like, the checklist and things that we should be mindful of. And sometimes because our mind, like what Francis said, our mind gets so cluttered with all sorts of things that it becomes a garbage truck, and then we have to learn how to unload it. Yeah, I think that message was very clear and good. Yeah.
All right.
You can also actually extend it to your close friends, the idea and things like that.
Yes, I will.
All right.
Okay.
So we will
Okay, good night, guys.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Take care.
Stay
Bye.
safe, everyone.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Good day.
All right. Thank you.
Noreen.